Doom is the first installment in the Doom series. I had a lot of fun with Doom Eternal, and it was very well received by everyone except the Game Awards. To see where the series started, I played Doom. The game was developed by id Software, a group of developers known for their work on PC. PCs were underpowered in terms of playing video games versus console at the time, but they were good at making kind of 3D environments. Before Doom, it worked on Wolfenstein 3D, a game that makes you say that is certainly kind of three-dimensional. Doom makes you say that certainly looks even more kind of three-dimensional. Next is the story. There is very little story in the game. In fact, the most you get are these little text things at the end of each chapter. So what I actually got from the game is hell is on Mars, then you go to hell, then you really go to hell, and there's a rabbit in there somewhere. There are 4 episodes, all of which take place in different areas. Each episode has a handful of levels, and the levels take longer to complete the further you get into the game. I also played the game on Hurt Me Plenty because I'm a filthy casual. Let's move to the guns. The roster is great. First off, you have a punch that is always usable and a chainsaw. I used neither of these unless I was out of ammo. They left you way too vulnerable for attacks. A lot of people seem to use the chainsaw for pinkies, but it never felt very satisfying to use. The pistol is the first weapon you use. It is obviously very weak, and it takes quite a number of shots to kill a regular grunt. Whenever you die, you restart the level with only the pistol. You would never use it if something else is available. That's fine and normal for a first weapon, but why does it have limited ammo? When you respawn, you lose the 50 bullets fast. In a couple of levels, I would actually have to look up a guide to see where I could get a shotgun or something. Speaking of which, the shotgun is great. There is ammo everywhere, assuming you don't die, and they can be used for short and long range. I am always holding the shotgun. The chain gun is also cool. Another problem with the pistol is that it uses the same ammo as the chain gun. There is no reason to use the pistol if you already have the chain gun. I think it is my favorite to use. It has great stopping power, and you can feel every shot you take in the controller with rumble. This is the rocket launcher, which I didn't really like. It has great power, but man, it has a lot of self-damage. In small hallways, it doesn't work because of the self-damage, and against big groups in open areas, I would much rather strafe and just use the shotgun. It felt much less wasteful. I would only use it against bosses. I have a love-hate relationship with the plasma gun. It is really fun to use, but I also feel so wasteful using this ammo too, not saving it for a boss or something. And I also think it causes the game to stutter. I use it, I stop using it, the game pauses for half a second, and then I can move again. The BFG 9000 is the Doom gun. It's fine. I think the plasma gun is more fun, but I definitely think I might be alone on that. It's like the rocket launcher, only it does more damage and 0 self-damage. In practice, I should like it, but I don't. There is a decently big variety of enemies, and they all look very different. The normal grunts do absolutely nothing, very little damage, and are only one shotgun shot to kill. The shotgun guys are a little harder because they have a shotgun. They do big damage only if they can get in close. Imps shoot a big fireball, which is quite easy to dodge on its own when you can see it, but if you're surrounded, you're going to take quite a bit of damage. Pinkies are these weird dog things. They charge at you and try to bite. They are pretty easy to kill in open areas, but in corners and small hallways they can be very problematic. There is also an invisible version, which is mildly harder to deal with. These are where the chain gun comes in handy because it almost completely stops them approaching you. Cacodemons are big, flying fireball shooters like imps. They aren't very threatening on their own, but due to their bullet sponginess, it gives a chance for the smaller demons to get in and do some damage to you. The Lost Souls are these small flying heads that lunge at you. They have a bit more health than imps and are very dangerous in numbers. The shotgun doesn't really work on them because if you shoot them once, they still have enough time to come in and bite you before you get another hit off. The last 3 are bosses: Barons of Hell, Cyber Demons, and spider masterminds. The Barons of Hell are bigger imps. Their fireballs are faster and do more damage, and they take longer to kill. They started off as bosses, but were later downgraded to be scattered across difficult levels. This Cyber Demon is a robot Baron of Hell. It takes longer to kill and shoots rockets. These guys suck. They have so much health, and it is so hard to tell whether he's shooting at you or your bullets are going after him. Lastly is the Spider Mastermind. Whenever he's facing you, he unleashes the machine gun that does so much damage and is completely undodgeable. Rather than actually dodging them, I just camped behind the middle of the post in the map. Not exactly the grand finale I expected for a final boss. Now, none of this matters if the gameplay isn't fun, but it is. You move around at the perfect speed, everything feels so fair. All enemy attacks are clear, except the stupid Cyber Demon, and you're always given the right amount of tools to deal with problems. The first episode is Doom at its best. You're shooting demons, the levels have a lot of branching paths without being too confusing, and it lets you use a good amount of the guns. The second episode is harder, and the levels are a bit bigger and more complex. There are a couple of levels in there which are kind of confusing, and the last episode. A big problem with older games is that they can be very cryptic at times. Games like the original Legend of Zelda are impossible to play without a guide because there is no cue, visual, or audio to anything. These levels are absolutely enormous and maze-like. Yeah, cool, great, I don't really want to roam around this big empty map with a bunch of corpses. I just want to shoot more stuff. That is by far the most fun part of the game, so I'm very surprised that id didn't take more advantage of that. Now, the fourth episode is much better. It released with the Ultimate Doom, and from what I can tell, this was an update released 2 years after the original. This is a much better designed final episode. It is much harder than the others, but the difficulty comes by the combat rather than the confusing layout. They realize that nobody wants to run around an empty map looking for a blue key card. You just shoot tons of demons. You find the card right in front of you, and you move on. It's still not linear like most modern shooters, but you still have the branching paths and the ability to tackle a problem the way you want. That's what I liked so much about this game. Whenever you play a level again, you just get a bit better at it. These dumb problems of not knowing where to go leave because you already know where to go. For a game that came out in the early 90s, it is just great. For just $6, I recommend it to any first-person shooter fan. But wait, because the review is not complete, there are 2 modes that I have left out, both being local multiplayer. The first is PvP Deathmatch, and the second is Campaign Co-op. Now, I obviously could not play these because it is pretty hard to play local multiplayer right now. I played Doom on Switch, and I'm kind of mixed about the port on it. I'd imagine most controls on PC would be good too, but I'm not sure if it has local multiplayer, and in case you can't tell, I'm not really a PC guy. I don't know if it's a problem with the Switch or the game, but I notice whenever you kill a boss or something in a crowded area, the game stutters for a bit. It's not a deal breaker at all, but something worth knowing. As for a rating for a game, I give it a solid A-. It is definitely above average and truly worth everybody's time.